Okay, so welcome to Group 4's discussion about Screencast. We're going to start right away by having every member introduce themselves.
My name is Carli Whitnall, and I am from Brights Grove, Ontario.
I'm Leanne, and I'm from Ottawa.
Hi, my name's Nadine and I'm from Toronto.
Hello, my name is Patrick Camille. I'm actually from Quebec City, but now live in Barrie, Ontario. So the goal of our discussion today is basically to share our experience using Screencast and present some possible uses or applications we believe could be used for that technology to be used in distance education. So the first question we're going to try and answer is what software did you use, and if we would recommend it and why we would.
I used both Jing and Camtasia. And in my view, these tools gave me the ability to create screencasts in a way that was very simple to use and extremely accessible. And the fact that some of these tools are free and readily available, is also, I think, a big consideration. Um, from my perspective, Jing was really extremely quick to use. It was sort of the steps 1, 2, 3. I liked the simplicity of it, and rather than seeing the 5 minute limitation, 5 minute limit as a disadvantage, I actually view that as an advantage. I think it requires you to be really concise and focused when you're communicating your messages. The other application that I used was Camtasia, and Camtasia provides, I think, a lot of additional support and tools and flexibility, and gives you the potential to provide a very polished and professional product. And I could see me actually putting this to use in developing training or tutorials in the work that I do. Nadine, what were your thoughts? What software did you use, and why would you recommend it?
So the software I used was Screencast-O-Matic. So pretty much a couple years ago when I was making my first screencast, I just Googled screencasts and the first one that popped up was Screencast-O-Matic. So I used it and it pretty much did the job fine. I would recommend it to others because unlike most screencast software, you have to download them, but with Screencast-O-Matic, you can just go onto the website and get it done. It's very easy to use, and although it only has a 15-minute time limit, most screencasts aren't longer than 15 minutes. What about you, Carli?
I used QuickTime, and I mainly used it because it was already installed on my Mac, on my iMac, and with the MacBook Pro, and it's free. And I was actually quite unaware of screencasting until about a year ago. And I've used it. I'd seen it. I'm a member of lynda.com, and that's how they deliver their content. So I learned about it, and I was hooked on it immediately, and I have used it nonstop pretty much since. And I've recently been introduced to Adobe Captivate and Articulate, and they are far beyond your typical screencasting software. But for the purpose of what we're doing, I found QuickTime to be extremely useful. Though I am very excited to use Articulate and Captivate. Oh, and now using Doceri, that's the other application, the other screencasting software that I've used as of now. And it is actually a digital whiteboard, and it allows you to write on a whiteboard using your tablet, or you can actually use a laptop or a desktop as well. But it's an actual whiteboard, and you can wipe it clean, and you can draw, and you can record your voice at the same time. And I'm starting to find that very useful also.
Myself, I used Camtasia. It was my first time actually doing screencast. I've seen them before, but it was my first time using it. It was pretty user friendly and it allowed me to do quite a lot in editing. So I liked it for the price I paid, $70 or so. So I think it was worth it. Let's move to our next question, which was you used screencasts for what purpose, and did it meet your intent?
All right, so I pretty much teach at a private college. And in all the programs at the college, one course that all students have to pass is Introduction to Technology. So I'm not too sure if you guys are familiar, but at private career colleges, the majority of students are either mature students or newcomers. So most of them just don't really have that great computer skills, if any. Some people have never even used a computer in their life. So when I got sick of repeating myself and going through things over and over again, I decided to make screencasts. So now it has filled my intent. Students don't have to ask me to show them things over and over because they can just watch the video over and over. What about you, Carli?
I teach Photoshop and Illustrator and web development tools. And I have found it extremely beneficial with international students. I teach a lot of international students. And to have them read, I had a lot of people cheating. So I use screencasting to eliminate that. And I would actually record a project, myself performing a project using Illustrator or Photoshop. And then I would upload it and they would follow the steps. And I received amazing results in using screencasting because as international students, it's difficult for them to read, and the comprehension was limited. So they would just cheat off of each other, and they'd work on the projects together. But once I started using screencasting more regularly, I was getting really authentic and quality work from each individual student. So that was where I found screencasting most beneficial.
Wow, that's the great advantage of that tool. I'm going to talk about a bit of some of the challenges I faced using it, and hopefully share some ideas on how to overcome them. I guess my biggest challenge was to try and sound natural while following a script. And if you look at my screencast on our website, you'll see that I sound very robotic. Sorry, I did my best. However, the good thing is you can pause, record yourself again multiple times until you actually find a cut that you're happy with. So that's my advice. When you don't like what you're saying or you do a small mistake, just pause for a couple seconds, then start over again. And then if your software allows you to edit, then you use that option. One big challenge I face using Screencast for me is that because I work in the Canadian Forces, we have a secure network, so we can't share any videos using YouTube. We can't use YouTube at all. So it's just an additional challenge. We have to find a repository to save our videos. Unfortunately, it's hard for me to get students to record themselves. For the reason is the limitation in sizes of videos that we have to save. So overall, the technology is pretty simple. It can get more complicated when you start adding transitions between cuts or video effects, but it's not a must. But if you stick to the basic, it's pretty easy. That's pretty much it. What about you, Carli?
I find my biggest thing is sound. It's to be able to get quality sound. I've always found that it's either too loud or too soft, or I'm speaking in monotone. And quite frankly, Patrick, I think you've done an amazing job, because getting quality sound is difficult, and being able to speak naturally at the same time without speaking monotone, because it's so easy to do. I found that to be probably the greatest challenge in getting used to this, and not saying all the time. So that requires extra additional editing, which of course, affects everything also.
Faced the same challenges for the quality of sound. Funny enough, the best solution I found was using basic Apple headset, the microphones attached on the wire. I get good quality of sound. However, I do have them so that they're visible, but I even used quality microphone, and I get better results with that. And with the software, I was able to adjust the volume after I recorded, so I could make it louder or softer. So a little trick there. My recommendation for someone that would be new to screencasting, I was new to it a month ago. So my recommendations would be to start with a small project that's very simple. Just record yourself. Try and not make it too long. And if you do work on a bigger project, draft an outline or a script and follow that script. That will help you keep the video short, because we all lose interest when the video is too long, even when it's $1 million movie. So imagine for an amateur screencast. So I think the key here is to keep it as short as you can. Okay, so let's move to our last questions, which is what are other applications you see for screencast? How would you use this technology in distance education? Leanne?
For me, I know that I'm going to have an opportunity to apply some of what I've learned with I can see screencasts being used for as part of a blended learning, and for some of the specific materials that are skills and drills for specific applications. I think that also I could be using this not only in the initial learning of a specific skill, but also as a tool to support retention of learning through practice. We've started looking at using videos as a mechanism to assist people in the transfer and the maintenance of some of their skills. So I can certainly see myself putting it to use in that regard.
I like the idea of actually asking the students to record themselves, since Screencast is so easy to use and available for free on the net. A great way to, I agree with you, Leanne, it's a great way to have students transfer their skill and apply them in their own video. In addition, a video, some of those software, they are video editing software, so you can do more than just screen capturing. You can use images in your presentation. You could present a slide deck like a PowerPoint presentation and comment on it. Use that video to flip your classroom. You could comment on a video on your screen. I like the idea of using it to provide feedback to the student as well. You could upload a Word document. Let's say they submitted an essay, and you can actually provide feedback while you're pointing at the text at the same time. As well, I know I will be using it to present technology. We're developing a course right now. So the students have never used some of the technology we're going to ask them to use. So by using Screencast, I can teach them how to use the technology that's new to them. So using Screencast to present new technology to the students seems to be a valuable way to use it. Any other comments?
I am, although I mentioned before, I'm new to Articulate and Captivate, and this changes the whole means of delivery or potential delivery of a distance education course or hybrid in so many ways. Not only in actually in a classroom, but for companies to re-educate their employees or professional development. Articulate it's amazing. It does everything. It's a video editor. You can do animation. You can have games. You can have interaction taking place. And meanwhile, also doing the screencast. I just think that it has the ability to change the way that the whole process takes place. One thing that I found interesting in my research, doing the pros and the cons, is that if a screencast is done well, the students tend not to want to go to class because they feel they get equivalent to better content results by watching the screencast. I found that a little bit humorous.
It's interesting what you mentioned about articulate and storyline. That's something that there's, in the context of my workplace, there's been a lot of discussion around rapid e-learning. How quickly can we actually develop and evolve a product and get it out to our clients? And that's one of the particular programs that is been used quite a bit recently for taking PowerPoint presentations, for example, and transforming them into tutorials or different lesson modules, and people have actually used them to develop components of their courses. So in some cases, individuals who perhaps aren't quite so savvy with the technology or aren't big on the program end can actually use Storyline to develop a product from beginning to end. So as you said, Carli, I think it's a really good point, and I think it's a very important consideration that these types of tools transform and create possibilities for everyone who, whether it's an educator or someone who's working in instructional design, I think, to, develop products from beginning to end. And the technology is just so user-friendly, and there's so much there for you to work with. It's quite remarkable.
From my experience, we do use quite a lot Articulate Storyline in the CF to produce a lot of e-learning courses. However, because those software are so easy to use, everybody's becoming an instructional designer, and a lot of those courses are lacking in the quality of instructional design, and they end up being huge courses at times that are only knowledge based, where the students is not applying any of that knowledge. He's just clicking away. There's a quick test at the end, and then he's done. When it comes time to apply that new knowledge, or in rare cases skills, they're having a hard time applying it. So the value of the course is lost because the design is not effective. So they are good tools. They are easy to use. But they have to be used efficiently. Just like using PowerPoint nonstop in the classroom is easy to use, doesn't make very good training if it's the only media you're using. The same principle applies with those authoring software online. If it's the only tool you are using, I think the quality is suffering a lot.
I think that's a really important point, Patrick. I think that's a huge challenge, and certainly it's an important part of the discussion, that there are limitations, and we have to be cautious that when we're designing any type of e-learning, that it's not an information dump, that there's consideration given to the structure of it, and then we're reading our intent and clear following instructional design principles. And I'm not sure if I've ever heard of Kathy Moore. Are you familiar with Kathy Moore? She's done a lot of interesting work on action mapping, and has an interesting line, e-learning. And her website is really worth a look. She has some really great, I'd say, best practices about trying to design streamlined e-learning that meets your intended goal, but also is valuable and clear and to the point, and that you're applying what you're learning as you go through the whole process. So just thought it's worth a look if you have a moment.
Okay, so overall, I think screencasting is a great technology that can be used either in distance education, in corporate training, or in actual classroom. It's user-friendly. There's tons of option out there, so I encourage everyone to use it. Okay, so it's been great working for you guys. I encourage everyone in the course to visit our website and benefit from everything we've put on there.